Hey, everybody, in this episode of the GH Report, Anna returns, Carly learns somebody is back from the dead, we get a good old-fashioned slugfest. Let's break it all down.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, the buzz
begins. Stone Cold's coming for you with the 1 and a 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, to the face, to the face, to the face. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the GH Report. I think that Josh just gives me a second to go, this is terrible. And then he kicks into the other theme. Thank you, Josh. As always, welcome to the GH Report, breaking down all the latest crazy happenings that are going on in Port Charles, New York. I'm Frank Moran.
I'm Carla Renata.
And as always, folks, like us on Facebook, give us 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up while you're there. And folks, the chat is up and running. Carla's watching it like a hawk.
I am. All right. Roll call. Joe Costanzo, Anthony Manzano, ZK, Susan Russo, Loretta Johnson, Mary, PEI Kelly, Public Cover, Ron Wood, RC, Annie Gowen, Coco Candy 1, Dolores Leach, and Michael B. What's up, y'all?
Look at that. We've done it. Everybody's here.
Everybody here. Everybody accounted for.
Oh, we're going to break down everything that's been happening there. We're going to talk about just the soap opera form in general, given what's going on with Days of Our Lives. Yes.
That was some surprise. Were you surprised by that? I was surprised by that.
Well, we'll see what that makes us think about General Hospital. We'll just reflect on that for a moment. And then, of course, we'll maybe do a little news at the end of the show to round it all out.
Yeah, I was surprised by that, especially because, right here at AfterBuzz, we had the Dish and Days show had a big fan event here where they had, I think, 5 or 6 stars from Days of Our Lives showed up, and they had about, I want to say 75. I think Tony said they had about 75 fans show up. I remember driving past here that night, and I saw the line was out the door. So it was a really successful event for AfterBuzz TV, but nobody was expecting, fans especially, weren't expecting that news. And apparently, I heard that the stars of the show did know that was coming down the pipe. They just had to keep it under their hat. And supposedly, they're coming back after the first of the year. But, I don't know.
I mean, given the fact that they did that big, huge event, as you're talking about at City Walk, I don't think they're going to have them go out there without knowing that. I mean, even though they couldn't say anything, but I don't think they would want to do that to their cast. Go like, oh, yeah, now guess what?
Well, they're probably doing. I remember a long time ago when Les Mis was on Broadway the first time. It had run for so many years that they had given pay increases to so many different actors that they literally just shut the whole production down, recast it, and rehired a whole bunch of new people. So it begs to question whether or not that is what's going to happen with Days of Our Lives.
No, that's true. I mean, the idea is that everybody's going to be released from their contracts at the end of this month, and then they're going to, because Days of Our Lives films 8 months in advance. So they could literally stop now and not have to worry about doing anything until the beginning of the summer.
Exactly.
And then at that point, they can renegotiate with everybody and see maybe there are some favorites that don't want to take a pay cut. And maybe there are some up-and-comers that are like, yeah, I'll take a cut and pay just because I want to keep working on my craft.
Yeah, and soap opera stars, they make bank. I mean, I know a few of them, and they make some pretty decent money. I mean, it would be kind of hard to take a pay cut from that, especially if your lifestyle has been that for more than 20 years. Because some of those people on Days of Our Lives have been there since day one. They have some old timers and old schoolers, just like GH has. Some people that have been there since day one, or at least in the early days of the soaps. So it does beg the question of what's going to happen with soap operas from this point on. Like, is it gone? Is it a thing of the past? Are people more invested in nighttime soaps, reality shows like the Housewife franchise? I mean, yeah.
Or this fly that decided to come in the studio.
This fly that's wearing you out.
That's right. But it is interesting because the only 2 networks you really hear that about are Days on NBC and then some on ABC with GH. You never really hear anything about Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful. Those guys seem to be really locked in tight. They're always number one.
Well, first of all, the daytime soap Emmys happen on CBS, and those are CBS shows. So there's that. So CBS going to make sure that their programming is intact. But some of these other networks, the NBCs and the ABCs, their stuff has not been as airtight and as solid. Those networks have had a tendency to cut the fat. And people in the chat room are saying that the day stars are saying that they're not done yet. Look, y'all, they're saying that, but we don't know what kind of hush orders they're under or up against. They may have all been told to say that because the networks and the stars are still trying to figure out what's happening with these contracts. So I hope that everybody gets to keep their job, because that would be unfortunate. Like, I would hate to see that happen to anybody, especially if they've been there for a while and really invested their life, blood, and character work and energy toward that franchise. Just to see it crumble like this would be really unfortunate.
It's true, and I think as you bring up with people that have been there for a long time, you got your Drake, Hoganson, however you pronounce his last name.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like that has been around for so long. Do you like, hey, you know what, maybe this is time for me just to relax and not worry about doing that? Or do you just love it so much that you would still be willing to take a cut and pay just because it's something you still love to do?
I think it would depend upon the circumstances of the individual. Some of these people have been on there so long, they have had the opportunity and the blessing to educate their whole families and their children by by having their children go to college, or them maybe going back to school, or, renovations to their homes or whatever. They've been able to live this life of luxury for so long and a life of privilege for so long that I think it will depend on the individual person and what they have going on in their personal and financial life. More importantly, were they smart? Did they invest? Do they have, a retirement plan in place? I would hope that they do. But sometimes folk in this business, especially actors, sometimes actors don't think that far ahead. They really don't. They just kind of go from paycheck to paycheck and gig to gig. So it kind of broke my heart. I don't watch Days of Our Lives, but I'm an avid fan of General Hospital for more than 20 years. So I don't know what I would do. I was really upset when they snatched off All My Children and One Life to Live. And then they took them both and moved them over to
Prospect Park.
Yeah, and then people didn't know where to find it. I think that's the only reason why it didn't survive, is because people didn't know where to find it, and they added these new characters, and we didn't have time to find out who these new characters were or invest time or energy in them, and so it just kind of went out with a whimper instead of a bang, which was unfortunate. So I hope that whatever the future lies for, whatever the future is that's going to lie ahead for Days of Our Lives, that they don't go out on a whimper, that they're allowed to go out on a bang with the show being the strong franchise that it is. It would be unfortunate if the network and the showrunners do not give it that kind of respect and dignity.
And it is a shame, because they were having such good press for the 1 year jump forward that they were doing. And that was like, oh wow, Days is going to be really leading the pack by doing something kind of revolutionary and jumping everything ahead a year. And then very quickly after that, it was like, oh, but guess what? We're also putting everything on hiatus right now. I mean, even though they filmed 8 months ahead worth of shows, so those storylines that are going to be teased and set up by the 1 year jump are still going to get a chance to start playing out. It's still kind of, I feel like it kind of undercut that cool moment.
Yeah, I feel, because remember, it's like I said, and they're saying this in the chat room too, and this is exactly what happened with All My Children and One Life to Live. It's the exact same thing. It's just what happened with All My Children and One Life to Live is they were like, yeah, we're going to cancel y'all, and then we're going to replace you with the Chew.
Yeah.
The Chew, and what was it was the Chew and something else. What was the other show? It was
the Taste. No. Taste was the late night, the evening show.
It was the Chew and something else, but it was two shows.
Yes.
It was two, or was it just the Chew? It was just the Chew.
It was the Chew, because then there's also the one that had Project Runway mentor Tim Gunn. He was on it as well.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that lasted like 2 seconds. But yeah, I just want to see. Soap operas are such a beloved art form on television here, just like the telenovelas are in Mexico. I just wish that they could find a way to keep them on, for fans like us that are diehard and enjoy it. I really just hope they find a way to rectify it.
It is. I'm a huge comic book fan. Probably don't know that about me, guys. Probably
yeah. I would have never guessed.
Never guessed that
ever.
One at all. But I feel like that is a similar medium, which I think often comparing to soaps, is that there are those diehards that have been around for a long time reading reading these comics, watching these shows, and whether each of those mediums do a great job about ushering in younger people to become the next generation of readers, viewers. And I worry sometimes, I don't know if Soaps does a great job about enticing new viewers in, and we just basically have just a pool of fixed viewership right now that is, as people age up, pass away, that pool is just going to keep getting lower, which means the ratings are going to keep dipping.
That's true. That's actually a really good point. That's actually a really good point. Because remember, the soap operas started because housewives were at home. Women were housewives at the time. A lot of them would be married, and while they were at home, you know, getting dinner ready or doing the laundry or making sure the kids got home from school or got off from school, they would watch these soap operas to kind of like keep their time occupied while they were doing their house chores. It was something to keep them busy and entertained while they were at home on television, which before that it was on the radio. So now we've got the television, and the soap operas were taking the place where you could actually see the action take place and be invested, as opposed to just listening to it and letting your imagination run away with you. You could actually see these destinations that these people were going to. You could actually see, you know, if somebody was doing something dastardly or out of pocket, you could actually see how they were going about, you know, carrying that out. And so it was a different medium, it was a different time, and now we've got so much content on television between all the streaming platforms, the network shows, the movies in the theaters, the movies that are streaming online. It's a lot of content, and most of the people that are imbibing that content are the younger generation, millennials or younger, and they're not interested in soap operas. A lot of them are not, you know, unless they watch soap operas with their grandmothers or their moms or their sisters or somebody. They generally don't have interest in it.
No, it's true, and I think that goes to now. I don't think many people are watching it because they can just grab their iPad or they can hop on the computer and watch something else, rather than back when we were more people were growing up, when you only had the major networks and there wasn't a pad or anything to distract you. And if you were just sitting at home with grandma, it was either watch this or, just, look at the wall. And you're like, all right, I guess I'm watching this. And then it sucks you in. And then you're like, oh, wow, yeah, awesome. I mean, like everything, you may not fall in love with it right away. You may need a few episodes, and it's kind of like that forced watching with a mother or a grandmother.
Exactly.
That's going to get you hooked.
Exactly. Actually, Michael B. makes a really good point. He says, yeah, now everybody and their mama is at work. One actor said that if you DVR the soap and watch it on Friday, wait a minute. One actor said if you DVR the soap and watch it on Friday or on the weekend, it hurt the ad sales and ratings. So, I mean, television is all about ad sales and ratings. Like, television shows stay on the air based on who is advertising during that time slot. So that's actually a really good point. Thank you, Michael B., for that.
So while we're sad about Days of Our Lives, but I mean, it's
Yes.
coming back. We'll see what the future holds for that.
Yeah.
General Hospital shoots about 3 months ahead, so a little bit different than Days of Our Lives. So luckily, hopefully nothing like that would happen here for GH. I mean, it would certainly be a much shorter break if it did.
Right.
But the one thing that Days is doing is, doing that 1 year jump. Is that something doing it right now is just copying. But do you think that's something that could really, does GH need something like that to kind of really infuse a lot of storylines immediately? Could they use a jump or something like that?
I don't think I'd want to see that on General Hospital, because General Hospital's formula has been watching stuff play out in real time, right?
No.
So, you know what I mean? So I think some people might entertain a jump. I wouldn't. I don't want to see that. I'd rather see it take place in real time. I'd rather see, what's going to happen with Donna. I don't want to look up a year later and Donna is a teenager having a car accident or something on GH. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to look up and see, Jax is an old man with some gray hair. Like, I'm not trying to see all of that. I just need to see it happen in real time.
No, that's true.
But they're saying in the chat room that they think the GH needs a time jump. I could take it or leave it. I'm not adverse one way or the other, but my preference would be not to see it.
All right.
How about you?
I mean, I'm thinking, because I know Days is recasting some of the kid actors because they're doing that time jump. So it gives them an opportunity to do that. But I don't know if there's enough
There goes
young
their college
kids,
fund.
there's enough young kids on GH where, like, you would see something like that happen. I feel like it would basically change a lot of the current pairings and stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think in terms of children actors and stuff like that, there's enough that it would worry about any recasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's any storylines. Well, I mean, imagine if you jumped a year right now and we're already done with the Brad Lucas and Wiley storyline.
They would be gone probably.
What a great day that would be. We just jump past that.
They'd probably already all be gone. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. With GH, if they did a time jump, there's a lot of characters that wouldn't be there anymore, simply based on where they left off in this point in time. Like Ava wouldn't be there anymore. Avery might be gone or grown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, Kim is leaving. She's already got one foot out the door. So
yeah, she should have been gone. I'm about tired of seeing her on screen anyway.
Well, I mean, why don't we use that as a nice segue to talk about this week's Port Charles? I mean, it was a smaller viewing week because
you mean
they
this
had
week's General Hospital in Port Charles.
Yeah, there you go, General Hospital in Port Charles.
Because Port Charles is a whole other
New York. That's true.
Okay.
We know we did a shorter viewing week because of the impeachment trials and stuff. So not as much, but I mean, there was some stuff that happened. I mean, we finally let's jump into what the biggest thing is.
Oh yeah, the biggest thing was the whole saving of Charlotte on that pier. Don't you think?
That was the return of Anna.
And the return of Anna, yes. Oh, and how she returned. I love how she just kind of showed. It was very superhero-ish.
Yes.
When she showed up on the pier, it was like, unhand that child. I was like, oh no, she's turning into Wonder Woman right now. She literally said, unhand that child. I'm like, And then Charlotte got a little feisty. Charlotte was feeling herself. I'm like, well, okay, Charlotte. Charlotte's like, I ain't nobody's victim. She was like, I'm going to bite your ass. Oh.
They got it.
Take a bite out of crime.
It'd been a while since we had a good fight scene. And so we get to see Anna have a little fight scene. We get to see Stone Cold Jason have a nice fight scene as well.
That was that was a long fight scene, too. Like, usually it's like punch, throw, gunshot, take the gun. It's usually a lot shorter. That was a really long, like they went back and forth to that fight a couple of times. I was like, okay, all right. It was good though. I enjoyed that.
So we see the Valentin. He is waiting for the call from Cassandra to come in, and Jason interrupts him over there at Spoon Island because he wants to get some details about Cassandra as well, and Nina goes in on him to get him out of there, but then stops and tells Valentin like, hey, Jason is awesome. Everybody knows he's awesome.
Why don't we just tell him?
Yeah, why don't you
he's
work
like,
with
no.
him? And Valentin, this guy's Jason still does it anyway.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, but Jason saved her anyway. So, but Jason knew something was up based on how they were acting because they were just Trey Shade, and he was like, there's way too many things going on. Something ain't quite right.
Yeah, well, you saw
in that situation.
As he's leaving the Windermere, he does that look back. Like,
But
right.
you know who was getting on my nerves this week, though, was freaking Nikolas. Ugh. He's getting on my nerves.
I mean,
this Nikolas is not the brightest crayon in the box.
He seems just really dumb.
And the old Nikolas was anything but stupid. So I'm not having that.
I mean, the man was shot and almost died. I mean, that might jangle you up a little bit.
I'm just saying, the Nikolas Cassandra that they set up on General Hospital was not an imbecile. They're making this person, they're making the actor playing him, they're portraying him as just a Keystone Cop. I'm not having it.
What I did like, though, is that he revealed himself to Carly. Because he
had no choice.
Well, which is good. I mean, I'll even take a step back there. What I did love the most, though, was seeing Jax melting down. The more stuff was going.
Jax went in. I'm like, ooh, because usually Jax is like all cool, calm, and collected. He's all, just like James Bond, suave bola, and he lost his cookies. I was like, ooh, Jax got a dark side.
I mean, when Jason leaves and he just grabs whatever's on his mantle and smashes it and just starts getting so angry.
He went in. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to be... And I wanted him and Nikolas to get into a really bigger fight. Like, I really wanted him to sock Nikolas.
Well, because there's nothing... I mean, sure, Nikolas is going to give him the shipping portion of Cassandra Industries, but Jax is he's already wealthy. He's already successful. It's not like he needs that.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need it. So it's I do like that Nikolas is like, yeah, I don't have a hook in Jax necessarily that I can keep him there because Jax could walk away at any time.
Yeah,
if he
Jax
wants.
is like, this is some mess right here. This is some BS. I don't have to be bothered with this. And then somebody in the chat room, who was it that said that? Annie Goins says that, and I agree with this too, because I'm like, of all the people that he revealed himself, why did it need to be Carly? Carly can't hold water. Like, really, of all the people? I agree with her on that one. Did you think about? I thought about that. Did you?
It was. I mean,
it was weird, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess Carly needs something to do now. I mean, she needs some other bit of drama because I feel like the dev stuff is kind of on the back burner for right now. So, you know, I mean, and we've already got the stuff done with the baby. That's done. That big drama there. So she needs something else to do. So
that big drama with the baby.
Yeah.
Baby Donna's out. She pushed Donna out, so that's over.
So, you know, you got to give Carly a little bit of something to be doing. I'll be curious to see, you know, the many scenes that they set up over the next week where somebody's going to come in and it's going to cut to Carly where she's realizing, I know something and I can't tell anybody.
Yeah, that's not gonna last long because she can't hold water. When have we ever really seen Carly keep a secret for a long period of time, other than back in the day when she had to keep it from AJ that Michael was his kid? That's like the only secret that she was able to keep for a long period of time.
Who does she tell first? Does she tell Jason? Does she tell Sonny?
When she drops the bomb about Jax?
Yeah.
She's probably going to tell Jason. She always tells Jason before she tells Sonny.
Good sounding board. We're like, should I tell Sonny this?
Yeah, she's not going to tell Sonny first. Because her and Sonny are having a little contentious situation right now. Like, they're kind of not, now that she's had this baby. Well, up until, actually, during the pregnancy and leading up to, actually during the pregnancy, they were kind of on thin ice to begin with. And then the Dev situation made it worse. And now I feel like her siding with Jax and keeping a secret for Jax is going to rub Sonny the wrong way. So, no, she's not going to tell him first.
You know, true. I mean, I guess Sonny can be mad from that point of view. But it's also not something that directly impacts Sonny at all. I mean, I guess Spencer is his...
nephew?
Nephew? Yeah. Yep, nephew. So, I mean, I guess in that respect, you know, something that impacts Spencer Sonny might take...
Or play nephew. I don't think they're actually related.
Yeah, because it's... that's Sonny's sister. That is Spencer's
Oh, right.
mom.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah, okay. Oh, Lord. It gets so convoluted, I can't even take it. I'm like, oh, I can't.
And I did like Jax saying to Carly, like, I thought given the Dev situation, you would kind of see the benefit of not saying everything about Nikolas being alive yet to everyone.
Right.
And she's like, no.
She's like, let's talk about. Okay, wait. Let me just go back to. So this Jax situation. This is why I said I wasn't having them playing him dumb. Why would he take a? First of all, why did he use a credit card to rent a van? Like, Jax ain't got some cars. Jax ain't got some SUVs up in that garage at that house. He had to rent a white van and use the credit card, which Jax now is saying is stolen. They fixed it so it looks like it was stolen. And then here comes Jordan going, yeah, that story don't sound right. Jordan's like, you could tell that to somebody else if you want to, but I ain't buying it. And Nikolas is out on the patio going, oh, yeah, that was... Really? I can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad at least Carly knew, because if I had to see one more scene of Nikolas just hiding out on that patio while Jax is trying to
I was
kind of
over that. I was kind of over that too.
But I'm also like with the credit card. Like, I mean, certainly like the Jax, it's for his company, not necessarily for Aurora. So different company. But I mean, I guess I'm not super rich. Where I feel like, I guess, is there a point when you become super rich that you can just have credit cards that you don't keep on your body, you just leave around?
Yeah, I have some friends that do that. First of all, I have friends that have some friends that are wealthy, and these friends of mine that are wealthy, they literally don't even carry cards with them. They literally just walk into stores and tell the cashier that they have an account. And they literally just walk around like with their insurance card and their driver's license, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it. And they'll walk up to the store. They'll walk up to the stores or the rest. They will go to restaurants and stores where they know that the managers or the personnel there knows them, and they'll say, "Just put it on my account," and they'll show their ID, and that's it.
Why would you not want to?
They don't even carry cash.
I mean, I can understand. I mean, not a huge guy, cash guy.
I'm not either.
But like, why wouldn't you just have a credit card around? Because who knows what's going to happen in your life, and you may not be around any place that you have an account set up.
These friends of mine that I know that are like that, they just don't think like that.
All right.
They're just like, whatever.
Oh, boy, when we become that rich, Carla, I can't wait.
Yeah, that day is never gonna come where I have that kind of money. I might be comfortable, but I ain't never gonna be like Oprah rich. That's not gonna happen.
That's gonna happen. Give it after February, Carla, she's gonna be gone. She's gonna be sitting there in Ojai on her big estate.
Oh, please. And you know what else I want to talk about, which made me laugh out loud because it was just so incredibly cheesy and ridiculous, is once Cassandra has taken the boat, so they rescue Charlotte, right? And then she gets on the boat and she gets away because everybody's distracted with Charlotte and fighting, that they haven't noticed that Cassandra has taken a hike. She gets on the boat, she calls Valentin from Charlotte's cell phone, and Valentin's all, "Oh, good, you got on the boat. Goodbye, Cassandra," and hangs up. And she's like, "What? No? Ah!" Boom. I was like, that was like cartoon blow up of a boat. It was funny to me.
She's alive. You know she's alive because we didn't see that. Of course
she's alive. We don't see nobody.
But it was...
And it's a soap opera. We never see the bodies. We never see the bodies buried. Very few times do we see the bodies buried. And even if the bodies are buried, they still come back to life. Faison, I'm just saying.
It's the way that the pacing of that scene just made me laugh because you're right. We do have Cassandra calling Valentin. And then he does that, while you're on the boat, great. And she's like, what? What does that mean? And then notices this tarp that she decides to lift up, and there's a bomb there. And then she just sits there for a few seconds. No, not like this. No, no, no. And then we go back to Valentin, which I want to be on the
with
app
the red
designer.
Button.
Yes,
like what app has a red button that big? Like the button was as big as my head. I'm like, what is going? That whole situation just made me laugh. It was funny.
And it's a slow.
It was like
Valentin, you wanted her dead. Why are you taking so long with this? I mean, do it right away. Make sure there's no chance.
It was absolutely redunculous. I was like, what is happening? That made me laugh so hard.
How soon is it before we see her show up again?
Oh, I think it'll be sooner than later. Yeah. They got to resolve that. They can't just have her lurking around forever and ever. They're going to have to resolve that.
Is she intact or is she kind of like scarred from the explosion?
She's probably like Ryan. She probably got something missing. Maybe she'll have some plastic, or maybe she'll come back as a different person. Maybe her injuries will be so extensive that she'll go and have plastic surgery somewhere and come back as somebody altogether different. They do that too.
Yeah, it's, even though she can't prove it anymore because Valentin moved Claudette,
mm-hmm.
I mean, she does know that Claudette is still really alive. That is a bit of information that I feel like she's the only character that could help reintroduce that bit of knowledge, and then somebody would have to go try to find proof. Because otherwise, I feel like that is something we're waiting to blow up at some point, that she's still alive.
Absolutely. What I really loved this week was the fact that Sonny brought Avery to visit Ava, because he suffers from he's bipolar. Sonny is, and Maurice Bernard is bipolar in real life. So I love the fact that very briefly, I wish they had spent more time on that, actually, that conversation with him and Ava about mental illness and the stigma of mental illness as far as introducing a child into it when their parent is affected with it. Because in Sonny's case, they held it and hid it for years and years and years and years, and he had to have a complete total breakdown, meltdown, and where Carly had to come and basically save him before they, let everybody know what was going on. And so when stuff started to happen with Morgan, Sonny was really upset because he was like, oh my God, my gene has gone down to Morgan. And then when his father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, then he's like, oh, then that gene was passed on. It's a mental illness gene, but Alzheimer's isn't really a mental illness. It's just a degenerational type of thing. But Having said all that, I wish they had spent more time and conversation on that, especially with Ava and in regards to Avery, because there's always been that contentious relationship between the two of them regarding her and who's going to keep her, who's going to take her, and all of that. So it was nice to have them have a moment where they were actually on the same page for once.
I did like, because there was even that scene last week too between Laura and Sonny,
and where she encouraged him.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I feel like there are few people that can talk to Sonny in that fashion that he respects enough that he will take the time to actually really give that consideration.
I think it's only two, Jason and her.
Yeah.
And Luke when he was on the show, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's very few people that can kind of pull him to task. But
I'll throw an Epiphany with that too.
Oh right, Epiphany.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you're right. They did have some moments with that.
And we also even get to see, while Sonny's considering everything that happened there, we get to see a scene with him and Cameron too, where after letting him go to town at the boxing gym, talks to him about like, hey, you also got drunk and took my
my daughter.
Yeah, what's going on?
Let me holler at you for a second. I kind of love it. Like he's stepping up in terms of being that dad that's not letting anything slide by him. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I did like telling Cameron what that promise means. If you're promising her to do that, it's like it's passing on what's cool, what's popular, you need to pass on all of that stuff.
Yeah. That was a good scene. I enjoyed that. I also I'm in love with the little girl that plays Violet. We all know this. I talk about that little girl every week. And that scene where they tell her finally that Finn is her dad, and that little girl goes, so does that mean that you love me? Oh my God, my heart just melted. I was like, oh my goodness, this little girl equates daddy with love. And I'm like, oh. It was adorbs. But what wasn't adorbs? Once when Anna walked in that house and was like, why y'all doing dishes and playing house in my house?
Yes.
Which she had every right to ask that, because that was kind of like, and then there was a whole situation between Finn and Hayden where he was like, well, they were having that conversation where he basically was communicating that he was this close to being fed up with her going off and not saying when she's coming back, and alluding very subtly to Hayden that, well, maybe they should hook up. And I feel like if Anna hadn't walked in that door when she did, they probably would have. Don't you?
Well, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you have somebody that comes back into your life that you had a very strong attraction to, and now they also say, guess what? We also have a daughter together, which...
That's rough.
Yeah. I mean,
that's rough.
As mad as you are about having that kept from you, it's that situation where I can see that being pushed to the side, and your attraction, the initial attraction and caring that you have for that individual, could make it tough to not say like, oh, this would just be so easy just to fall right into.
That's rough. Somebody said this, and I thought this too. Annie Goin said that she thought it was so cute that Violet thought that Roxy was her sister. I'm like, that was kind of adorable. So I was like,
that's true.
I'm like, aw, that little girl. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with her. Like, what are they going to do with that whole dynamic? And then the look on Hayden's face, anytime Roxy, see, I didn't make Roxy a person. Anytime Violet looks up at Finn, Hayden gets this look on her face like, I know, baby, that's why I fell in love with him, and that's why we made you. Like, that's the look that she has on her face every time. And I just feel like that's going to be a problem for Anna. Anna and Hayden going to have it out.
It is. I mean, Anna was thrown off guard for sure, but still. But for all the speculation that everybody was having is how is Anna going to react when she finds out that Finn has a child? She was very.
She was
sweet.
cool.
Yeah.
She was cool about it. But I think she was cool. I think it was a setup, because I think she was cool about it because she comes back into town, and what's the first thing she does? She saves a child, right? And the look she has on her face when she realizes that Charlotte is safe is almost. It brought me back. I don't know about anybody else when they watched it, but it brought me back to the many times that she had to save Robin.
Why didn't we just show that scene of them running at each other?
You know what I mean? I just feel like it brought her back to the many times that Robin was in danger because of something that she was involved in or someone that she was associated with. For her to be able to save this child and the child not be kidnapped or anything, I saw all of that wash over her face. So when she rolled up in the house, she was excited. It was almost like she was excited to tell Finn about what happened on the pier, and then she turns around and Hayden's there, and she's like, really? Like, I can't share this news with my man without you sitting up at my house, really? Yeah.
Well, I mean, and they did have the talk that we were talking about last week. Is when did you find out? Why haven't you told me? And it had only been 3 days, although it seems longer on soaps. The way
I know it does seem longer,
yeah.
But even Robert, was it Robert that told her? I can't remember. I can't remember who it was that told her at the hospital. It was Robert that told her that he has. Okay, it was all a blur. That told her that he has a kid, and she was like, "Oh, okay," which I think it didn't sink in. Like, I think you know how somebody will tell you some news like that and you hear them but you don't? Yeah. I felt like that was one of those moments where she heard him but she didn't really hear him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they, after Hayden and Violet, they beat feet. And it's just Anna and Finn having a little chat, just saying, I did like Finn saying, it just doesn't work if you're not here. Which is, I mean, I think that's anybody that's in some sort of
long distance relationship, it doesn't. Like, I mean, long distance, I don't know if you've ever been in them, but when I was in them, they were cute for a while because it was like you had the best of both worlds. They weren't there long enough to get on your nerves. But at the same time, when you really needed for them to be there, you wanted them to be there, they weren't. And that was kind of annoying. So it's like a blessing and a curse sometimes. And I feel like that's kind of where he is with that relationship. It's a blessing and a curse. Like when she was running off on those adventures, it was exciting at first because he was like, "Oh, I have a doll that runs off on adventures," and he was cool with it at first. But then it became frequent. Like, it became more frequent than not. And then he's kind of just left there like, okay, now what? And this is all happening after he asked her to marry him, too. Yeah. So there was all that drama with him, you know, should I not? And then he finally breaks down and does it, which almost didn't happen for a variety of different reasons. And then they finally get through it. She says yes. And then what happens? She leaves. And it's just like, where's my fiance? I can't. And then here come Hayden.
Here come Hayden.
Lurking in the background, ready to pounce.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's tough to not watch those scenes this week and think like, well, yeah, let's just put Hayden and Finn back together. But it's also been so long since we've seen Anna and Finn together. That maybe
I know, but I told you I never really cared about Anna and Finn anyway. So
no, all right, fine.
I'm digging Hayden, and I always liked Hayden and Finn together. I always thought they were a better fit. All right. I don't know why they wrote her off in the first place.
No, I mean, she had some stuff going on.
Look, Rebecca Budig is the cat's meow. I don't know why they wrote her off in the first place. That's my girl. I love her I just love seeing her on television. She's such a great actress. She really is. And she's an even better person. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Oh. Well, I thought that was me, but I mean, that's fine.
Oh, you know what I wanted to tell you that I didn't share? You know what? Shut up. You know what I wanted to tell you that I didn't tell you?
Please let me.
I know. Inquiring minds want to know. Okay. So I was on a red carpet for Marriage Story, which is a film starring Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver for Netflix, right? Mm-hmm. And I was on the red carpet doing interviews, and I kept looking down the carpet, and I was like, who is this dude? I kept looking at this guy, and I kept thinking, why does he look familiar? You know who it was?
Who?
It was the guy that played, oh, God, Ava's boyfriend, Kiki's boyfriend. What's his character's name?
Oh,
Griffin.
Because he's on...
Griffin. He's on Entertainment Tonight. Who knew? I didn't know he was doing that. Did you know he was doing that?
I did know about that. A week or two ago, I remember reading something online about that.
I saw him, and so I was like, I said, do you play Griffin? Did you play Griffin on General Hospital? He said, yeah, that was me. I'm like, oh my God, I loved you on General Hospital. Can we take a picture? Click, click. I put that online. I forgot to tell you about that.
Did you invite him to come over?
I didn't, because I know he don't have no time. He's traveling and doing stuff at ET. He was in Napa Valley last week. He's like, I think ET, on a whole nother subject, ET and Access had this whole shift, and Extra have had this whole shift in Reporters going on, with Billy Bush came back to Extra, and then they moved Mario over to Access, and Access has become Access Hollywood again. Like, it's a whole lot of stuff going on. So no, I didn't say anything because I was actually just geeked out over the fact that I figured out who it was. And they were breaking down the carpet, and it was the end of the night. I was like, I can't believe I remembered who that was and got a picture.
That's awesome. Matt Cohen.
Matt, yes, that's his name. He was very, very sweet.
Look at that.
But,
easy on the eyes.
Yeah, he is very sweet. He was hogging up people on the carpet, though. I was like, I'm gonna need you to ask one question.
Well, I mean, so when you're coming there with E.T., I mean, it's easy. You get the juice.
I know.
One other storyline that happened this week too is that we get to see a little bit moving towards, I guess, what we know is inevitable, where Drew is going to sacrifice his memories to bring back Franco. Supposedly, we'll see what happens when the process.
I kind of felt like that was coming. Didn't you?
I mean, it had a lot to do with Scotty, talking to him about everything that happened in the past between Drew and Franco as kids. And there is a scene which I thought was kind of nice between him and Jason at the pier. And,
I remember that scene. That was a really nice scene. It was.
Yeah, and I just Drew just talking to the water and like what his relationship is and the agreements that he has with the water. And it's like now and realizing I'm in a body that has none of that. So am I really even me? And
then we're gonna watch Kim melt down again into the abyss again.
You're not coming with me.
Oh God, I can't. I need for her to leave town.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
no shade, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad when a character reaches kind of their end. I mean, but I feel like for Kim, she's kind of reached the end of that story.
I hate that they have her going out with a whimper because she came in kind of strong.
Yes.
So it was like to have her come in so strong and so confident and very not assertive, but just very kind of like chillaxed. To have her go from that to like this crazy person injecting folk with needles and trying to sleep with people without their consent, and they just turned her into like a crazy person.
Well, I mean, it would be nice if they ever decided to bring back the character of Drew, whoever is going to be playing him, which I think they will. I think there's still some meat in the bone with that they could bring back Kim in a year or two, much like they're doing with Hayden. And things could be in a different spot.
Who's to say Tamara Braun wants to come back? Like, she might not want to be bothered. And I think this was part of the problem with her storyline too. Tamara Braun used to play Carly. So I think maybe if there's some writers left over from that era of when she played Carly, I don't think they quite knew what to do with her after they got rid of Oscar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was enough. It's a shame that, I mean, it didn't seem like whether it was the chemistry they saw between Tamara Braun and Billy Miller, it didn't really excite them to really pursue a Drew Kim kind of reunion. It never seemed to go that direction.
I was excited about her and Julian. I wish they had not blown that up in the air. Ooh, we forgot to talk about Julian real quick. I love how Julian and Lucas had that conversation, and Lucas went in on him. He's like, he said you may have become more accepting of LGBT. He said you may be less homophobic or something to that effect. I was like, ooh, ouch.
Yeah, good old.
And he was about to drop the dime on Brad just when the phone rang, too, wasn't he?
He was ready to go. What if I can tell you something that might explain all this?
He was going to drop that dime. I'm like, go ahead, drop it. And then the phone rang. I was like, thwarted.
And we do feel like at least somebody's got an idea about what could be poisoning Alexis. That's TJ coming in with some rat poison. Rats.
That sucks.
Real quick before we get ready to wrap up here, just a super fast news item.
Okie dokie.
AfterBuzz TV News.
And that is we have somebody else coming back to Port Charles, a beloved, not necessarily beloved, I don't know. Brooklyn is coming back. Look at that.
And
so she'll be returning. It's on the 18th and 19th. Although given the preemptions this week
for the hearings,
the hearings. I don't know if that's going to skew the days by a day or two.
It probably will just a little bit, yeah.
But yeah, she's going to be coming in, and she's, of course, if you're bringing in a new character or a new actor playing this character, but she's got, of course, to have some agenda. She's not just showing up and hanging out just to be there.
Nope.
So they're speculating that there's some sort of relationship between her and Nikolas.
Ooh.
Which I guess
that could be interesting.
That could be interesting, but
yeah.
I mean, it's going to give Ned and Olivia something to do. That you've got Brooklyn back for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would be more excited if Wally Kurth was a regular on the show and not just,
Well, he
crossing
got that
over.
other gig.
He's got days.
Well, not no more.
Well, that's true.
So,
That's true.
maybe they'll bring him back to GH and make him a more permanent situation. It depends on what goes down.
God, I'd love it. Just give us some more of that. There's a lot to mine out of those Quartermaines. All right, folks. As we end with Carla giving her shrug, going, I don't know. That's a great place to end this episode of the GH Report. As always, folks, like us on Facebook, give us 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and thank you, everybody, for hopping in the chat. We couldn't do the show without you.
Yes, we could not do it without you. Ever, ever, ever. I love listening and seeing what y'all have to say. Some of it is pure comedy. It entertains me and makes me chuckle out loud.
And folks, if you're watching after we stream live, feel free to comment in the chat. I know Carla loves nothing more to do than go home with a nice glass of wine, sit up next to a roaring, huge fireplace in her mansion, and
I do not have a mansion, but I do have a fireplace.
just sip some of that nice Cabernet as she's reading your comments on the YouTube page.
I do read the comments, and I do talk back. They know that.
There you go. So, folks, if you want to stay in touch with either Carla or myself, even after the show's over, Carla, where can they find you?
You guys can find me across all social media platforms at The Curvy Critic. You can check out my reviews at thecurvyfilmcritic.com. I do The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata over at BHL every Sunday, excuse me, prior to the GH Report. And on Monday nights, for the next few Monday nights, you will catch me doing a recap of Dancing with the Stars right here at AfterBuzz TV. And Thursday nights, of course, at NBC on Superstore.
Ooh, look at that right here. My gosh. Carla's going to be taking a little time off because she's going to be in Ojai getting her mansion, her estate set up.
That would be a negative.
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie, folks. That's going to do it for this episode. We're going to be back here next Sunday with an all-new episode. Why don't you join us right here on AfterBuzz TV?
Bye, y'all.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.